So I'm sitting on a curb. It's kind of like this in California when I was on a project for this. It actually turned out to be one of the most amazing projects of my life called Real Appeal. And what had happened was this project was one of the largest fitness projects ever funded. There were so many moving parts. We had 60 people on set in Hollywood. I mean, stuff all over the place. You know, trailers and trucks all the way up and down roads. This day we happened to actually rent out a whole house. We moved a family out of the house. We moved in there for the day or 2 days and shot a bunch of content in this house in Southern California. And there was this one segment that we were shooting that I was the feature of the segment, and I just couldn't get it right. I felt I couldn't get it right. And what started to happen was the director was trying to figure me out and figure out all the talent and all the moving parts. And there was like, I don't even know how many episodes we shot. So it was a massive amount of stuff that we were trying to get used to. And so she couldn't get me to have the voice she wanted me to have, and I couldn't find the voice that she needed me to have. And I felt like I just muscled through this interview segment. And I left that house and I went out and I just needed to be alone. Like I felt so like lost inside. Like I felt like I was the last kid picked on the playground, or I felt like I was the only one that didn't get the joke, right? So I walked all the way down to the end of the street until I could find some peace, and I sat on this curb and I just sat there, and these thoughts went through my head, and I said, you know, this really isn't who I am. This isn't my voice. I just can't find, I wouldn't say it that way. I can't find my stride in this. And you know, maybe sometimes when you're brought up to the pros, you're really not ready, and so you got to go back down to AAA. And I thought that to myself. I said, you know, I've done my best as I can right now, and if it's not a fit, then they're just going to fire me. And I stayed out there so long because I had another segment to shoot. I thought another one of the cast members reshot my segment in addition to theirs. That's how the mind starts spinning on you, right? Ironically, fast forward like 6 months later, it was, like I said, one of the most amazing projects I've ever done. It grew me more than any other project, or as much as any other project I've ever done in my life. And then what it dawned on me was this. What I was trying to do in the moment was a piece of who I was. It was just a piece that I wasn't comfortable with yet. So I wanted to revert to my status quo, my normal patterns that I'm used to that make me feel comfortable. And at the time, it felt really uncomfortable. But over time, what I began to realize, and I didn't realize this till I was able to look back months later. I had to carry that weight and just press forward and just grow through it, stumble through it. But what I realized was when I look back is that was always a piece of who I was. I just never had a chance for it to be trained, for it to be brought out, for me to stumble through it and get used to it, and then have it become part of who I really am. And it didn't change who I was before that. I was still that same person. It was just a new piece of me, a new voice, new beliefs that were always in me that were able to grow over time. And so I just share that to say that moment of transition, if you're in it, if you've been considering it, and I know I might be speaking to a really small group of you right now, and maybe I'll speak to more of you later with this video, but when you find yourself in that space where you know you're involved in something, or you've been called to something that's good, and it just doesn't feel right, take a breath, take your time, do your best, let go of what you think the outcome's going to be. I'm going to be fired, I'm not going to be fired. If it happens, it happens. But you take a swing, you put on your armor, and you go in and you battle. And you do what you believe is right for you. You say what you want to say to people. And in the beginning, a lot of people might not listen. But over time, when you look back, you might be really grateful that you took that chance to become who you already are. It's just someone you're not used to yet.